Alrighty, so what is going on, guys? So I decided, since today is yet another year passing by that the late great Eddie Guerrero and one of my personal inspirations died, I wanted to take us back a year to a Podbean exclusive that I made, the 10 defining moments of Eddie Guerrero. And I didn't make a top 10 list. This wasn't a 10, 9. No segment was really greater than the next. There was no order. I just listed 10 of his most defining moments, in my opinion. And I thought this was a great list. And I was wondering, how could I attribute Eddie Guerrero? And I figured I'd put this list, with due respect to Podbean, on a higher platform, on YouTube. So I want you guys to listen to this podcast because I thought it was a great list. This has nothing to do with whatever's going on with the main roster at that time frame. I just thought it was a great list, great thing to do for Eddie Guerrero. And I myself have not heard this podcast since I last edited it to add all the clips in there, and because I did add in some sounds and clips and edits in there. So regardless, this was my opinion. These are my favorite Eddie Guerrero defining moments, segments, angles. Really, it stacks from a range of things, and I can't wait to see what I said and what I thought. And really, I can't wait to relive the Eddie Guerrero moments, and I hope you guys do too. Now, with that being said, guys, please give a response down in the comment section below and say, what exactly did you like about Eddie Guerrero? What exactly do you miss about Eddie Guerrero? What was your favorite Eddie Guerrero segment or match or angle, whatever? Alrighty, guys, enjoy. What is going on, guys? I'm Eddie Lynch. So, in the spirit of Eddie Guerrero's 10-year anniversary of his death, or 11 years, I believe. Anyway, in the spirit of his death, I thought I'd make this a little Podbean exclusive, and I would focus on the 10 best defining moments of Eddie Guerrero's career. Now, keep in mind, this is strictly my opinion, so let's all be mature here. If I leave out someone's favorite moment, just feel free to let me know. But let's not get enraged about it or anything like that. So let's begin. So the first one on the list is Eddie Guerrero hosts the LWO party. This one right here was one of his earlier character segments. It was back in WCW, as you could probably tell. It was really cool. You saw him get to be like the leader of the clique, and it was pretty funny. You see him harassing his boys while being nice to the girls, and really it just explains to Eddie Guerrero in a nutshell. Next on the list, we had Eddie Guerrero versus The Rock, which was their only match together, but they had a really good showing. And this was back when Eddie Guerrero was still a mid-carder, so he got to showcase some main event material stuff on Raw. And not only did they have a match, they had a great promo together. Eddie Guerrero talking about how he ripped his daughter's poster of The Rock and set it on fire because of jealousy, and The Rock, clowning Eddie Guerrero. Really, really funny stuff. By the way, if you guys hear a little bit of fiddling around in the background, I apologize for that. My microphone is not all the way connected to my tripod anymore because it got loose. So, my apologies for that little disturbance in the background if it happens. So, yeah, it was a great moment. Next was the John Cena pep talk at WrestleMania 20. So, Guerrero comes out after seeing John Cena. Everybody comes out to congratulate him on the win, this backstage segment, and Guerrero, he's talking with him last. Everybody else kind of leaves, and he gives the guy some genuine advice, the whole never give up, go 100%, and it was just so well done. It was actually really genuine, and I believe that could have been the start to the whole Super Cena thing, which ironically is despised to this day, but hey, what are you gonna do? Again, it was such a great promo because, it was just so genuine, and it honestly felt like it was off the script. If you ask me, it was, because there's no way, and this is coming from a diehard Ruthless Aggression era fan, there's no way you could have made that up. Next on the list was the Eddie Guerrero and Big Show burrito segment. And I'm sure a lot of people who watch Eddie Guerrero and Eddie Guerrero fans alike know exactly what I'm talking about here. So, to give some context for those who haven't seen it, which I really suggest you look up after this podcast, or really just after this list and then go back to the podcast, doesn't matter to me. He has his cousin play as a guy who's selling burritos. He happens to pass by the Big Show, air quotes when I say happens to pass by the Big Show. Big Show sees that he has a lot of burritos in one bag. He takes one, he tries it, he bites into it, and then says, hey, that's pretty good. So he puts it back in the bag, he gets another burrito, and he spits into the burrito, and he tells Eddie's cousin, tell him this one was made especially for me. So in the next scene, you see Big Show, he's on the toilet, he's feeling bad, he has diarrhea. And Eddie Guerrero, he comes in there, he's cracking jokes at Big Show's expense, he's harassing the guy as much as possible. You see Big Show, he's tall enough to where he's kind of peering over the stall. You could see, his eyes are angry. And Eddie Guerrero, he cracks as many jokes at his expense, like I said, but enough to the point where he finally asks the big question, which was one of the most memorable lines, how are you gonna wipe your ass, Sensei? And you see Eddie Guerrero with a big roll of toilet paper. Big Show realizes he has none in his stall, and he just kicks down the door, and you see Big Show with the most priceless facial expression, and honestly, I feel like that was legit anger from the Big Show, but even if it wasn't, it still made one of those really hilarious segments that, will go down in history regardless. Next one, and here's a little bit of a serious one, was the Eddie Guerrero heel turn promo in 2005 that he gave. So, to give some context, this was in 2005 where Eddie Guerrero had enough of the fact that he cannot beat Rey Mysterio in a singles match in 2005, and eventually to a point he turned on Eddie, he turned on Rey Mysterio, he assaults him as much as possible, and he rips off his mask and he steps on it and rips it apart, and he makes Rey bleed. And the next week, Eddie Guerrero, he comes out in all black and a green shirt and a cross. He has a 5 o'clock shadow. Comes out to a remix version of his face theme. Everything the guy did was perfect. He wore those soulless eyes. He snatches a chair from Tony Chimmel. He goes into the middle ring, sits down, and the lighting and the backdrop was perfect for that segment. And you see Eddie Guerrero, he's just cutting this promo. He starts out cool, calm, collected, and then after that, he starts to flare up. He shows his, no pun intended, Latino heat, and he's just ripping this promo apart. He's killing it. He's making sure each line is colder than the last, and he finally ends the promo with this one last line, and I'm gonna play some audio for you right now.
I realized that each and every one of you were living vicariously Through me, you were stealing my passion, my love, my energy. You were stealing my Latino heat. But as of last week, not anymore, 'cause I got it back. I got it all back. So I got a little piece of advice for you, Holmes. See, nothing and no one is going to ever take away my Latino heat again. So I want you to listen real close. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Quiero que piensas. I want you to think. Think of your family. Aaliyah and Dominic, your son and your daughter. Don't make me hurt them, Ray. Don't make me hurt their daddy again, ese. Don't make me take away their papa. 'Cause I promise you this, ese. You return at Judgment Day. Remember, right now, I have your blood on my hands. At Judgment Day, if you come back, I'll have your life.
So there you heard a playback from his promo, shortened, of course, because I don't think that this podcast should be longer than it needs to be. Anyway, it was such a great promo. If you look up the video yourself, just look up Eddie Guerrero heel turn 2005 promo. You'll see this promo for yourself. Great stuff, and probably the best part of this promo was how uncomfortable he made it for everyone, which segues into the storyline, which is next on my list. Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. Now, when you think of something so edgy yet so good, you gotta include the storyline right here. Because it starts from the fact that Eddie Guerrero, like I said, couldn't beat Rey Mysterio in the year 2005. And following that, Eddie Guerrero had enough of Rey Mysterio to where he turned on him. And this storyline involved Rey Mysterio's son and Eddie Guerrero saying that Rey's not his son. Now, whether any of that was true, it was uncomfortable. And for storyline purposes, it was good. It made good for good TV, and it's one of those genuine storylines that will never be done again. Especially because of how uncomfortable it made everyone in the process. You know, it just pushed comfort boundaries for everyone watching, probably everyone in the storyline. I assume. The match itself, I want to talk about, you know, it goes hand in hand with storyline and the moves. And this is the reason I could appreciate this match so much more, is because it's not just about the moves more as it's also about the story. And literally this match lives throughout the story. And honestly, it was spot for spot, but it had great story to it. I think one of my favorite spots of the match was when Rey sunset flips over Rey Mysterio to a powerbomb, and you know that was a nasty powerbomb. Eddie's head ricocheted off the floor and stuff. And this was off the ladder, mind you. So, you know that had to hurt. But, again, one of his 5-star matches, in my opinion, definitely deserves to be on the list. Next was the Eddie and Chavo segments. If you look up on YouTube, you can see a collection of skits from these two. Lighthearted humor. I think my favorites were the pool and the baby. So you guys are very welcome to go check those out. Getting down to my bottom 3 here. I think it's fair to put down the Eddie Guerrero and China moments down here. Back when she was his mamacita. And on paper, this really shouldn't work. But Eddie really strived to make it work, and it did. So, +1 to the both of them for this storyline. Next was Eddie Guerrero wins the WWE Championship. I think right here, WWE often likes to celebrate this moment, and rightfully so. I mean, nobody expected Eddie Guerrero to win, and when he did, it created a shockwave of celebration for the guy. And it was such a big accomplishment for the guy that, for however long that he held the belt back in 2004, and I don't think it was too long. I gotta double check the 2004 timeline for that. Anyway, it was such a big accomplishment that I think out of his entire title reign, that just ended up being his biggest highlight. So there's that. Last, I put his moments where he would cheat in most of his matches. Every Eddie Guerrero fan should know what I'm talking about. This was the antic where the ref would be down, and Eddie Guerrero would get a weapon, and from there, Eddie Guerrero would try to hit the opponent. The ref would get up, Eddie Guerrero would throw the weapon to the opponent, and then he would drop to the floor and act as though he got hit with the weapon. And sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. And I put this on the list for one simple reason, for the fact that it was Eddie Guerrero personified. You can see a million wrestlers, Sasha Banks, CM Punk, Rey Mysterio, just to name a few. They do this Eddie Guerrero moment to pay homage to him. People do it, and immediately it's immediately identified as an Eddie Guerrero, move. He was the innovator of this, this gimmick, this antic, and it works. So that was last but not least. All right, that was my 10 best defining moments of Eddie Guerrero in a celebration of his 11-year anniversary. This, again, is a Podbean exclusive. This will not be on YouTube unless somebody plays sound bites or whatever from this podcast and puts it on their own channel. I don't see that happening yet, but hey, if it does, it does. Anyway, this will strictly be a Podbean exclusive. Check me out on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter, Eddie Lynch at eJose98. Be sure to vote on my polls. Gold Coast Wrestling. Their first show will be in January. The date has not been released yet, so be mindful of that. And just have a good day, guys. Have a great Sunday.